11-1 win against Moldova, 5-0 victory against Israel. Norway are crazy good. But nobody is paying attention because it's just Moldova and Israel, until they destroyed a 4-time World Cup winner.
Norway won 8 out of 8.
Yeah,
Right.
comfortably.
24 points.
Italy didn't just lose, they were well beaten, home and away. 8 games, 8 wins, 37 goals. Norway's last appearance at the World Cup was in 1998. An entire generation grew up without seeing their country on the biggest stage. Erling Haaland, the man at the center of it, wasn't even born. On the pitch, the star striker scored 16 goals in 8 qualifying games. And off the pitch, one man became the architect behind Norway's return to the World Cup. To understand what Norway is building, you have to understand the man who built it. Sturla Solbakken took charge of the national team in 2020 and was actually part of Norway's last great generation. He was a midfielder in the squad that beat Brazil 2-1 at the 1998 World Cup. He, more than anyone, knows what it feels like to represent his country on football's biggest stage. And he spent the last 6 years trying to get this generation there too. For a while, it looked the same. Norway missed the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. They missed Euro 2024 in Germany. The golden generation was being wasted. And then something changed. Solbakken stopped trying to reinvent the wheel. He built a system around what his players do best and committed to it completely. Norway now plays in a 4-3-3 that morphs depending on possession. Out of possession, the midfield 3 compacts in front of the back 4, or even a diamond, depending on the phase of play. The transition from defense to attack is a weapon for them. They move the ball forward immediately, in quick combinations, with pace out wide. In 2 or 3 passes, a team that looked organized is suddenly exposed. And crucially, Solbakken built a system that works even without the stars. In friendlies where he rested Haaland and Ødegaard, the structure held, ensuring a balance that is not overly reliant on Haaland alone. That's the difference between a team built around individuals and a team built around philosophy. Norway is the latter, and the philosophy works, especially when you look at how dominant they were in qualifying. Norway were drawn in Group I alongside Italy, Israel, Estonia, and Moldova. On paper, Italy were the favourites to win the game. They opened their qualifying campaign with a 5-0 win against Moldova. Then came Israel, where they won 4-2. Haaland and Ødegaard, as you would imagine, were at the heart of things. Comfortable wins, but against modest opponents, but the world barely took notice. Then Italy came to Oslo in June 2025. Over 25,000 fans turned up for this one, waiting to see if Norway could put up a good fight. By half-time, everyone got their answer. In the 14th minute, Alexander Surlov timed his run perfectly onto a through ball from Antonio Nusa to make it 1-0. Then, Nusa became a good scorer. He controlled a pass with a slick flick and burst past 2 defenders and fired home Norway's second goal of the night. The stadium erupted. Here is where we need to look deeper into Norway's structure. Italy were looking to penetrate, but the midfield wall of Norway has become so steady that makes Ødegaard and Haaland even more dangerous. The ball was won before it could reach Norway's defense, and when you give Ødegaard this amount of space, he'll find Haaland, and that's how it became 3-0 on the night. The game ended 3-0. Solbakken delivered a masterclass if you break it down into stats. In the first half alone, Norway decided to give Italy the ball, and only recorded 34% possession. The plan was to hit them on the fast breaks, and it worked perfectly. Norway went on to win all their games in the build-up to the reverse fixture. 1-0 against Estonia, 1-0 against Finland, then against Moldova again, and this time they thrashed them 11-0. Haaland scored 5 in that game, before hitting a hat-trick against Israel in the next game in a 5-0 win. A 4-1 victory against Estonia secured Norway's position at the top of their group before meeting Italy again. Italy had no chance of qualifying automatically. unless they beat Norway by 9 goals. If it were any other year before today, maybe it could happen, but against this golden generation, that was never going to happen. Norway didn't come to hold on, they came to finish the job. Italy went ahead early for a moment, the San Siro believed, and then Norway reminded everyone why they were top of the group. Because for as long as 60 minutes into the game, Norway were losing 1-0. But the final score, Italy 1, Norway 4. Nusa equalized with a dipping strike that Donnarumma couldn't reach. Haaland scored twice in 2 minutes, 78th and 79th, to put Norway 3-1 up, and Jürgen Strand Larsen added a 4th in stoppage time. That game made it 8 games, 8 wins, and throughout they conceded only 5 goals, whilst recording a 37-goal campaign, the most goals scored by any team in UEFA qualifying, the best goal difference, a perfect record. And Italy, well, we all know what happened to them at the playoffs. This Norway team, the tactics of the coach, and the motivation to reach the World Cup could not have happened without the players. And what's a Norway conversation without Erling Haaland? Haaland is not a normal striker. He has 55 goals in 48 caps for Norway. That makes him the all-time leading scorer in Norwegian history. At 25 years old, he scored 16 goals in the last 8 qualifiers. That's double the next highest scorer in all of Europe. He averaged 2 goals per game in competitive international football. And here's the stat that should frighten every defender at this World Cup. Haaland averages a goal every 71 minutes for his country. That's less than half the time Cristiano Ronaldo needed to maintain his legendary scoring ratio with Portugal. At his current pace, Haaland could break Ronaldo's all-time international record of 143 goals before he turns 31. That's not a fantasy, that's mathematics. But Haaland alone doesn't explain Norway's dominance, because the player who makes Haaland unstoppable is Martin Ødegaard. Ødegaard is the captain, the brain, the engine, one of the best creative midfielders in the Premier League, and just lifted the trophy with Arsenal. And when he plays for Norway, the entire system revolves around his vision. Ødegaard is positioned deep, scanning the field. He sees Haaland's run between the defenders before anyone else does. He threads a pass that splits the entire defense. That's the connection. Ødegaard sees it, Haaland finishes it, and nobody can stop it. Ødegaard has 4 goals and 18 assists for Norway in 67 caps, but his value goes beyond numbers. He controls the tempo. He dictates when Norway attacks and when they wait. He's the metronome. And when both Haaland and Ødegaard are fit and firing, Norway can beat anyone. But they're not the only ones. Alexander Sørloth plays for Atletico Madrid under Diego Simeone. He's 1.95 meters tall, a physical monster who wins aerial duels, holds up play, and drags defenders away from Haaland. Antonio Nusa is 20 years old and already being called the Norwegian Neymar. He plays for RB Leipzig. He's electric on the ball, quick feet, explosive pace, the kind of dribbler who can beat 2 defenders and still pick out the right pass. He scored crucial goals against Italy in both games. Sunderberger is the box-to-box engine in midfield. Julian Ryerson provides energy and defensive solidity from right back. Oscar Bob and Jens Petter Hauge offer depth and creativity. Once again, this is not a one-man team. This is a squad, and they're all entering their prime at the exact same time. For 28 years, Norwegian fans have waited for this moment. The last time Norway played at a World Cup was in France 1998. That team featured Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Paul André Flo, and Henning Berg. They were drawn in a group with Brazil, Morocco, and Scotland. And in their final group game, they faced Brazil, the defending champions. Ronaldo, Rivaldo, Bebeto, Roberto Carlos, one of the most talented squads in World Cup history. And when Norway went behind in the 78th minute, it looked over, but Tore André Flo equalized 6 minutes later. And then, in the 89th minute, Flo was brought down to the box. Penalty. Rekdal stepped up, scored, Norway beat Brazil 2-1. They qualified for the round of 16, they lost to Italy in the next round. But that team, that moment, became legendary in European football. And now, 28 years later, Norway are back. Erling Haaland was born in 2000, 2 years after that World Cup. He grew up watching videos of that Brazil game. Now, he's leading the next generation to the same stage. Sturla Solbakken was a player in 1998. Now, he's the manager in 2026. The connection is direct. This is a team that carries history with them, and they're determined to write a new chapter. Norway are drawn into Group I, and the opponents? It's brutal. France, 2-time World Cup winners, one of the favorites to lift the trophy. Senegal, reigning Africa Cup of Nations champions, talented, physical, disciplined. Iraq, returning to the World Cup for the first time since 1986. Emotional, hungry, dangerous. The path is clear. Beat Iraq, handle Senegal, get 2 wins and potentially secure their place in the round of 32 before facing France. Norway isn't just hoping to survive, they're hoping to make a statement. It helps that they are only facing France in the last game because Senegal is their first real test. Senegal will be physical and organized. Lose that game and the test becomes harder with France thereafter. Mbappe, Cherki, Olise, a squad loaded with world-class talent, but Norway has already proven they can beat elite opposition. They dismantled Italy twice. They have the system. They have the firepower. They have the belief. They should get past Iraq in their first game. And so the question isn't whether Norway can get out of the group. The question is how far they can go. Norway are not the favorites to win the 2026 World Cup, but they might be the team that ruins someone else's tournament. They have the best striker in the world, the best creative midfielder in the Premier League, a system that has already destroyed a former world champion, and for the first time in 28 years, they have belief. An entire generation of Norwegian fans has never seen their country at a World Cup. Now they get to watch them on the biggest stage in football. And if the world isn't paying attention yet, they will be. Just like how the world is also watching Japan, because Norway isn't the only story we have here.